Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this lesson, we are going to look at how to transform text like this in Photoshop and how to use them in our works or in our subsequent works. As usual, before we start this particular lesson, kindly subscribe to my channel and get more of these videos when I drop them. Let's get it rolling. Alright, let's start. First of all, we are going to add a gradient layer to this particular paper. So we select gradient layer from the files here and then check through the drop down gradients and select this particular one and then click OK. After doing that, we make sure that we come back to our text tool and then select our text tool. Here we are going to type our word that we are going to use, and that word is sorry. So here I'm done typing the sorry, so we have to make sure that the sorry here will be the text that we are going to use in doing all the things that we want to do in this particular work. Now it's time for us to enlarge this particular text to very visible. Yes, so let's hit Ctrl T on our keyboard and then enlarge this size. Now it's very visible. We can now work on this particular text, but before that, let us add a little shadow, drop shadow here, and then we make sure that it sets the contrast between the background and the main text. You see that black shadow down. Now let's convert this particular text to object. You see shape, convert to shape. We're going to convert to shape, and now let's come back to this particular place, direct selection tool, and click on this one, the second one. Yes, now let's zoom and see what has been attached to our text. You see we have that little dots. These are the edges of our text. So you hit a particular edge that you want to transform. So I'm going to transform this particular edge and drag it down. You can be doing that by hitting down on your arrow keys or on your keyboard. So I'm doing this. Let me stretch it, hit and stretch it to the top, and also hit downwards and stretch it downwards. Now we have this S looking like a trumpet. We are not done. Let's transform the R as well. So I'll hit at this particular edge and drop it down to the limit that I prefer. Now I have this, very nice. Then coming back to the Y, transform this particular side, stretch it a little bit. Good. Now we come back to this side as well and stretch it. Okay, now the middle part is also important, so we are going to look at that and stretch it down. All right, now we have our text in this particular form. This is the first phase of our transformation. You click on the move tool or hit V on our keyboard. Now what we are going to do next is to make sure that we select this one and then rasterize the layer. Yes, why are we rasterizing it? We want Photoshop to recognize this particular text. So quickly we move on to the object selection tool here, object selection tool, and then select the O. Photoshop will automatically detect the object that we want to work on. You see it has selected that one. All right, since it has selected, let's click Ctrl J to duplicate, and after hitting Ctrl J, we see we have this duplicate only from the letter O, because we are going to add the effect to this letter O. And since we have duplicated, we are going to work on it. Let's head to this particular section and select the rectangular marquee tool. Yes, and then drop it around this O. I'm going to cut half of it. So looking at what I'm doing, you can see that I am taking off some parts of the O, and I'll hit backspace on my keyboard You see, I have a half O or a semicircle with a shadow underneath, and that is the transformation. We are not done. Let's come back to this and select gradient overlay. Gradient overlay. I don't like this one, so I will check through and look at the right one. Let me select this, and then I think this is also nice, but let me go for the first one. Good, this nice, and then hit OK, and then OK again. All right, I'm done with the O. You see, it's very nice. We are not done. Let's come to the third R, or the second R. Sorry, this R. We are going to transform the same thing. So we come back and then select our object selection tool here, and then select the R. So once we select the R here, and that is the R we are going to work on. So we are done selecting the R. You see, Photoshop is saying that it can't recognize because we failed to select the layer. Now I'm going to select the layer. Let's come back again and work on it. This time around, Photoshop will recognize the R. Good. It has recognized the R and it has selected it. So we go back and select our polygonal lasso tool from this the tool section. Yes, polygonal lasso tool, and cut the part that we do not need. We do not need in this part. So looking at what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it and then hit backspace. You see, I cannot do all of these things without rasterizing my layer. It's very essential to note that as a graphic designer, Photoshop always recognizes rasterized layers, and you can work on rasterized layers very effectively. Vector files are always rasterized in Photoshop for better work ethics. Now let me come back to the work and then hit backspace. Alright, you see, I'm done transforming that particular text. Now the half R is now going to get the gradient overlay. Now I have my gradient selected. Let me choose the first color that I selected, this one instead, and hit OK. And OK. You see, we have a beautiful text effect right here. We can use this in our designs, and then for our clients. Now this is it. We are not done. We are going to add a little bit of stroke around this whole text to make it a little bit beautiful. Alright, stroke, and then we are going to select from the text gradients. So I hit here and then select from that colors. Now I have the color. Okay, let me make sure that I adjust. Alright, it's okay. So let me click OK, then we are done. This is Photoshop transformation that we can do in one of our works. Follow me for more. Thank you.